The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, the podcast that explores the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply want to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, travel transformation coach, founder of Flip the Script Travel Transformation Services, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. Today is a solo episode, though I've got a lot of great interviews planned for the next few weeks, so keep tuned for those. Also, before we get into the main episode, I just want to make an announcement, because if I make an announcement here, that means I have to stick to it. So from now on, the Travel Transformation Podcast won't just be every Tuesday, it will be every Tuesday and every Thursday. Yep, I'm doubling my workload. I'm crazy. Some will be short episodes, so some will literally just be 10-minute quickies, but they will be 2 a week. And a lot of them will be solo episodes as well, because I love doing interviews and I think you can get a lot of great information and motivation and inspiration from interviews. But that just leaves me no time to talk about my own stuff and the things I've learned, which is one of the reasons I started this podcast in the first place. So from now on, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and if I don't stick to it, you're allowed to send me an angry email because I need you to be my accountability buddies here. So yeah, for my solo episodes, let me know what topics you want me to cover. Anything to do with travel, to do with transformation in general. So that could be mindset stuff, self-development stuff. It doesn't have to be super travel related. Anything to do with solo female travel, with co-livings, with being a digital nomad, with intentional travel, all that good stuff. I've got a lot of ideas already. I've got a huge list of episode titles that I want to get through, but obviously I want to give you what you want. So if you have anything you would like me to talk about in particular, please let me know. You can email me at info@traveltransformationcoach.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at traveltransformationcoach. Okay, so this episode is called my South Africa Roundup, so you can probably guess that it's going to be all about South Africa. I recently got back from my trip to SA, and I have to say it wasn't on my immediate list of places I was planning on travelling to anytime soon, just because I have so many places I either want to visit for the first time or that I want to go back to. But that was before I went to Spain last year and met my friend Irene, who's from South Africa, Pretoria, and who was a digital nomad like me. She often stays in a small coastal town called Kalk Bay, which is about 40 minutes or so from Cape Town, and she was telling me all about it, and it just sounded so super cute. And I've never been to Africa before. I've never set foot on the continent, so it was a nice thing to do to check that off my list. But yeah, I spent 2 weeks with her in the Basque Country and then a few weeks in Javier in Spain. And when I left, we did the usual thing. The oh, hope I'll see you soon. Oh, you should come visit me in SA. Yeah, that would be awesome. And then you leave and you never see that person ever again. Well, sometimes that happens, but when you're staying in co-livings with other digital nomads, actually it is quite likely that you will see them again because you're obviously both roaming around. So if you do find someone you want to meet again, then you absolutely can. So when Irene messaged me and said she was renting an Airbnb in Kalk Bay for almost 2 months and was gathering a group of digital nomads to live and work there, some of them I knew, some of them I didn't, I jumped at the chance. Like I say, I've never been to South Africa before, and honestly, Cape Town would not be somewhere I would choose to go as a solo female traveller. So this was a really good way of doing it because I was staying with someone who was local, who knew the area, and I was staying with a group of people rather than being on my own, which in any big city I find a little daunting, I have to say, even though I do it. So, in mid-January, I escaped the English winter and hopped on a plane from Heathrow to Cape Town. And as I was there as a digital nomad, which is very different if you're just going on holiday somewhere as a tourist, I wanted to do a bit of a special roundup episode to tell you exactly what I did, to give you a bit of a snapshot of what it's like to be a digital nomad if you want to be one, or if you're just interested, and the good bits and the bad bits, and what I learned from the whole experience. So in a bit, I'm going to read out some excerpts from the notes I made while I was over there, which was just noting what I did and when. But before that, I just want to talk about a few things that immediately come to mind when I think back on my trip. Okay, the first thing is load shedding. This was a huge part of my stay in South Africa, and I didn't realise before I went just how big of a thing it is and just how disruptive load shedding is. Basically, this is when the power gets shut off for a few hours a day, for a couple or a few hours at a time, to shed the load. It's all to do with the power not being able to cope with the amount of people there, and they turn it off a few hours a day, and there's different zones, different areas, and it's all very confusing. To start with, we didn't even have Wi-Fi when this happened, which for a house full of digital nomads is not ideal. But then that got sorted a few weeks after we got there. So then it was just the power we didn't have, which means you have to keep your phones and laptops charged. Definitely keep your phone charged because you'll need the torchlight on it for when you're plunged into darkness and have to navigate around the house in the pitch black for hours on end. You have to schedule things like washing or drying or straightening your hair. And this is big for me, having strategic cups of tea at times when there's not going to be any load shedding. So I don't get up early. I'm not a morning person, but I would often get up early because I knew that the load shedding would start at a certain time and I needed to get my cup of tea in before that happened because I needed to wake up. You get used to it after a while, but it's still just super weird getting plunged into darkness and having to navigate around the house using the torch on your phone. You do get used to it though. Secondly, and I talked about this a bit before, but solo travel wasn't the easiest thing to do in the Cape Town area, especially as a woman. But as I said, I was kind of expecting this, and it's the reason why I wouldn't have gone there on my own in the first place. But again, not just Cape Town, there's plenty of places all over the world that I wouldn't go on my own, but I would go in as a group. So it's things like I got told not to use the buses or the trains because there's a lot of crime, not to go hiking alone, not to use Ubers alone at night. And mostly it's fine, but it does make things a little trickier if you want to explore but you don't have your own car, which we didn't. There was a cute little coastal train that went to a lot of the nearby towns, which would have been a great way to get around and see the really cute areas, but with people getting attacked and mugged on there, especially if they're alone, that was a no-no. It just seemed strange coming from a country and a town where I don't think twice about hopping on a bus or a train on my own at any time of day or night, really. It's just a bit weird, but again, if you lived there, you would get used to it. And better to be safe than sorry. There was also a day when I had a kind of solo adventure day as I wanted to go and see the penguins in Simon's Town, which is amazing. It's a famous penguin colony that's featured in the Netflix show Penguin Town. Check it out. But I didn't have anyone to go with, so I took an Uber there myself, hung around with the penguins for a couple of hours. Seriously, they're so cute. Then had a walk around, did some shopping, got some lunch and ice cream. Then I got an Uber to the harbour, had a look around, then had a cocktail while looking out at the water. Then I got an Uber back to Kalk Bay. I then went to a restaurant on my own, got a delicious pizza to go from one of the really cute restaurants there. Had another cocktail while I was waiting for my food. Well, why not? And then walked back to the house. It was such a nice day. And I'm an introvert, so I don't mind my own company. So I didn't mind being alone the whole day. But when I got back to my house, my housemate and his friend was there, a lovely lady from Cape Town. And it seemed strange to me. She asked what I'd done, and I told her all about my day. And she just seemed so shocked. She was like, and you did all that on your own? As if it were the craziest thing she'd ever heard, because it wasn't something she would have done on her own in that area. Well, to be honest, it might not have been something I'd have done on my own even just a few years ago. It seemed like nothing at the time, but when that woman said that and I thought about it, I was like, I might not have done that before. So it made me appreciate how far I'd come and how much confidence solo travelling has given me, even if I don't always see it or think about it. Sometimes it takes someone else pointing it out to go, you're right, that is pretty cool. Thirdly, the world is such a small place. Irene has a friend called Martapello, and while we were there, her friend Randy from Denmark was visiting. We all hung out as a group a couple of times, went to see a jazz band at the local bakery. Yes, bakery. Went for drinks. And around this time, the Sun & Co pop-up in the Basque Country, Spain, were opening their bookings, which is where I met Irene last year. And I was talking to the people I was there with before, seeing who was going back. One of those people was Bjorn from Denmark, and Irene and I were talking about who was and wasn't going, so I mentioned him. She hadn't met him, but she'd been to the pop-up too, just at a different time. Anyway, the next day, Irene came rushing into the house saying, Bjorn is Randy's brother! Bjorn is Randy's brother! And it took me a while to figure out what she was talking about, but then I got it. Yes, Randy and Bjorn were brother and sister from Denmark. I had met him in the Basque Country in Spain. I had met her in a tiny coastal town in South Africa, of all places. And I think our time there overlapped each other by about a week, and we still managed to meet. I then got a message from Bjorn saying, so I heard you met my sister. Seriously, it's crazy. The world is just so small. And if you're a digital nomad staying in places like co-livings and you're meeting digital nomads who've stayed in other co-livings, it's even smaller. Okay, fourthly, South Africa is just so beautiful. Kalk Bay is gorgeous, especially the view we had in our Airbnb over False Bay and the houses on the opposite side. Cape Town, with its famous mountains like Table Mountain and Lion's Head, is pretty incredible. Stellenbosch and the Winelands, one of my favourite places when I went there, are just stunning. And even though I was working a lot when I was there, I never took for granted just how stunning it is. I remember going to the Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens for an outdoor concert on my very first day there. I'd just flown there overnight and I'd got in at 5 a.m. UK time. I was totally out of it, really tired. I'd met up with my friends, we'd gone to the house, I'd done a bit of unpacking, had a quick shower and then gone to the gardens. And just seeing the view from the gardens of the mountains and all the lush greenery, I was a bit out of it, like I said, but it just took my breath away. It's so beautiful. Actually, that's one of my regrets on my trip, is that I didn't go back to the Botanical Gardens. Maybe on my own, when there wasn't a concert happening, to just wander around, take in the beauty, take some pictures. I feel like it would be a nice place to sit in the shade for me and write poetry or something. I don't know. It's just that kind of place. It's really, really cool. Okay, so now let's get into what I got up to day by day, which hopefully won't be too boring, but hopefully it will give you some idea of what it's like to visit a place as a digital nomad and live more like a local than a tourist, though I did do some touristy things while I was there. Okay, Saturday 14th of Jan, I got the Virgin Atlantic flight from Heathrow to Cape Town. I paid a little bit more extra money to go direct because I am old and I don't like going, like there were a choice with like 2 stopovers or a cheaper one with 3 stopovers, and I just can't deal with that. Like if I can get a direct flight and it's not extortionate, then I will do that every time. On the way I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you haven't seen that film, see it, it's amazing. And I watched 50 minutes of Top Gun Maverick before I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore, but that was nothing to do with the film. I was just very tired. It was actually a good flight because I got a whole row to myself, which hardly ever happens. And they accidentally gave me 2 breakfasts because I was asleep when they brought the first one round. And they brought me another one for some reason. So Sunday 15th, 5 a.m. UK time, 7 a.m. South Africa time. I got in, went through all the immigration stuff, passport control, all that lovely stuff. And I met Irene at the airport because she just got a flight in from Joburg. So we went and met our friend Sunny in Cape Town Central, then Alex and Ali, who were also from the pop-up. And then we got an Uber over to the house and it was so beautiful. Then we went to the Botanical Gardens. Like I say, we went to see Mango Groove, which is a sort of older but very famous South African band. There were so many people there. We took a picnic, we took some booze. It was very nice, but I was very, very tired. We then went to a bar in nearby Muizenberg, which is about 10 minutes drive from Kalk Bay. We went to the Commons and they had live music and drinks, and they had a little outside bit where we sat and talked. And again, very nice. But, when you're just so tired and you're trying to meet people and remember their names and not sound like an idiot, and it's a lot. We also had trouble getting Ubers back, so half of us got an Uber back. We had to wait about half an hour for the other lot. And at that point, we only had one house key. So we headed over the road to the tidal pool, had a bit of an impromptu party with some beers we had left, put some music on, looked up at the stars. It was all very nice. And then the load shedding happened and every single light along the bay went off. And it was really weird because I didn't understand at this point really what load shedding was. But it was kind of magical as well because then you could see the stars a lot more. But again, I was drunk and I'd been up for about 48 hours. So, I would have thought anything was magical, probably. Okay, I'm going to get through these a bit quicker. I'll literally just read what I put on my notes. So Monday, first day of work, I put very tired and slightly hungover. Got up late, eased myself into work. Tuesday 17th, went for a hike up Echo Valley in the heat. Now, this was very beautiful, but so hard for me because I'm not very fit. Very uphill. And it was very hot and I burnt myself a lot, but that's just me. I burn all the time. One of my issues when I was over there. Then we went to the Courtyard Cafe, had a really nice iced tea, then went to a different tidal pool. I dangled my legs in, didn't go all in, Sunny did, but it was very cold and I'm a wuss. Wednesday 18th, worked, then went to the market in Noordhoek in an Uber. We had pomegranate gin and I got empanadas. Really nice vibe and so many dogs. These are my notes. Friday 20th, I guess Thursday I didn't do anything, just work. Friday 20th, we went to the Bluebird Garage Market, which is another market in Muizenberg. He had great food, lots of dogs, drinks, and they had clothes, jewellery and stuff as well. Then Sunny, Alex and I went to a dive bar. Then load shedding plunged us into darkness, and they sort of brought out random bulbs to go on the bar, which was quite cute actually. Then we walked over to the Striped Horse, which had its own power, because a lot of big businesses have their own generators, but a lot of places don't. We had more drinks. There was amazing music, like really random dance versions of pop songs like Dolly Parton's Jolene, Party in the USA, YMCA. And yeah, we went there for a while and then went home. Saturday 21st, went shopping in Kalk Bay with Sunny, the first of many shopping trips. They had so many cute boutique shops in Kalk Bay. We also had lunch at the beach cafe overlooking the sea, very nice. I got a couple things for me, presents for other people. I collect postcards and magnets, so I got those as well. Sunday 22nd, shopping again. Got a purple bag. Yeah, I'm addicted to buying bags, but this was a very nice bag. Tuesday's the next one. I had a Zoom with my parents and my brother. I guess I did nothing on the Monday. And when I say nothing, I mean we literally just stay in the house and work, because a lot of us have a lot of work to do and not particular hours, so we'll often work in the evenings, at weekends if we need to catch up. So yeah, a lot of that was just work. Wednesday 25th, I went and worked from Bootleggers, a coffee place with Irene during load shedding, so they had Wi-Fi. This was at the time when we didn't have Wi-Fi. And we did this occasionally, but I tend to get distracted in cafes when I'm trying to work there, mainly by all the food and drink. I end up spending a fortune because I feel guilty about staying there without paying for constant food. So yeah. And then that evening we went back to the Noordhoek Farm Village Market. Oh yeah, there were loads of little girls going around asking for tips for jokes. They were telling us jokes. And me and Irene were like, I'm sorry, we don't have any cash. But, you know, they were like, oh, we'll tell you the jokes anyway. And they told us the one about, what do you call a deer with no eyes? No idea. And then what do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs? Still no idea. And it might have been the gin, but we found that hilarious. There was also a boy just going around holding out like a sunglasses case. This was after the girls had come by, and just went, money? He wasn't homeless or anything. His like parents were there, but it was really funny. I was like, God, these kids know how to hustle these days. Thursday 26th, we went to jazz night at the Olympia bakery. A dude called Linda and his band, I can't remember what his band's called. They were very good. And yeah, it's just this sort of the back bit of the bakery where they actually do all the baking and they put all the stuff to one side and they put the chairs out, and then it turns into a like music venue. Very cool. I put Friday to Sunday, basically slept and did some work. Yeah, I think the weekend of being up like all weekend when I flew over finally caught up with me, and I literally just slept most of the day for like 2.5 days. I've never done that before. So yeah, make sure you get enough rest when you're travelling. Monday 30th, Irene and I made salad for dinner. Now, it might not sound like this is something you should make a note of, but we never cook, ever. We're so bad. Both of us bonded over our lack of cooking abilities. So even though it was just a salad, the fact that we did it for our housemates, monumental occasion. Tuesday 31st, went shopping with Sunny again. We were just so bad we kept egging each other on. But we were buying mostly gifts. Then we had brunch at the Ohana Beach Cafe again. In the evening, I had dinner and drinks with Irene at Sirocco, which is a lovely outside place with like twinkling lights everywhere. Very nice. Thursday, 2nd of Feb, we went to Cape Town for First Thursdays, which is like an art gallery thing where lots of art galleries open for free. They let you in for free. There are lots of deals going on in like bars and restaurants. And they basically just have a massive street party. Everyone drinks and walks around, and there's some outdoor shopping. And also I had the best sandwich ever from Crust Almighty, and I would move to Cape Town for that sandwich. It was amazing. Okay, Friday 3rd of Feb was Sunny's last full day. Worked from Lekker in the morning because the internet was a bit crap. 4th was when Sunny left, so when she'd packed we went to Cape to Cuba for cocktails and food. A lovely view over the harbour. Our housemate Matteo joined us. He's from Italy, Sunny's from Korea. And then we went back to the house and Sunny left, very sad. That evening, Matteo and I went for pizza and wine at the place across the road from Sirocco called Satori, very nice. But yeah, at this point, it was just Matteo and I left in the house because Irene was away. Sunny had left, Alex and Ali had left, and Antoine, our other housemate, hadn't yet appeared. So Sunday the 5th, Wi-Fi man came in afternoon. Obviously a lot of things happened. Just chilled in the house, did some work. Monday the 6th of Feb, got a takeaway from Lekker, having a cocktail, drinking wine back at home, in the dark because of load shedding. We watched the first half of the film Her, because everyone was obsessed with AI while we were over there. But then we were too tired and went to bed. Rock and roll.
Since the start of the pandemic, many people have been reconsidering the ways in which they have fun. After a horribly isolating couple of years, we're now craving connection, community, and real deep conversation. We don't want to do the same old stuff every time we meet up with friends. We want something new, something different, something more. Enter the Flip the Script Party Packs. These digital party packs will help you flip the script on your usual parties and flip the script on your lives. Yes, this is self-development, but not as you know it. When you buy a Flip the Script party pack, you'll get taken to a super secret page on our online portal where you'll be guided through your very own Flip the Script party with videos, fun worksheets, and printables to help you throw the best Flip the Script party ever. There's a party pack for everyone and every situation. Mindset makeover, business bestie, life goals and legacy, birthday boost, hen-do hootenanny, and team building takeover. All designed to help you have a great time in a fun, collaborative setting. They're also perfect for when you're meeting people on the road and you want to get to know your new travel buddies. Small talk's dead. It's time to get deep with a Flip the Script party. Just head to traveltransformationcoach.com/party to purchase, or get all 6 party packs free when you sign up to the Flip the Script Digital Nomad Academy at traveltransformationcoach.com/academy. And now let's get back to the Travel Transformation Podcast.
Tuesday 7th of Feb, Irene spent all day trying to get Beyonce tickets. It was a big drama in our house. And then she left for Pretoria and Joburg for the week off for a wedding. Wednesday 8th of Feb, went to the shops I hadn't been to yet. Had lunch at the waffle place because it had a great view overlooking the harbour, and had a sweet potato rooibos latte. I don't know if I'm saying rooibos right. Rooibos? Rooibos. It's the Red Bush one. Anyway, came back and worked. Oh yeah, Antoine made some vodka with coffee beans, orange and sugar. Super, super tasty. Thursday 9th of Feb, had lunch at Salt with Antoine. In the evening, I went with Antoine and his friend to the supper club at Moose Kitchen, Muizenberg. It's where you go and you pay like £5 or something, and there's a different chef every week, and it's just like a community supper club where you sit on a table with lots of other people. We met 3 other digital nomads from the US, Egypt, the US/Egypt, Germany and the Czech Republic. And they had a cute little gift shop as well. We had amazing 3 vegan pasta and vegan chocolate dessert. We could take our own wine. It was really nice. Friday 10th of Feb, I went to Baked Shakespeare at the Olympia Bakery with Matteo and Antoine. This was really fun. Obviously, smoking weed is legal over there. And their whole thing is they perform a Shakespeare play, and at the start, 2 actors get chosen to get baked on the stage as they go. And they smoke a few bowls and then see if they can remember all their lines and do all that stuff. So it's really funny. And they also had epic sort of modern style, boy band style dance routines in Shakespeare. It was As You Like It, and it was really cool. Then we went to Cape Cuba for a cocktail. Seriously, there were like a load of group of kids there who looked about 12. Out at like midnight. Crazy kids. Saturday 11th of Feb, this is the day I went to Simonstown. I tried Water's Edge Beach first, but it was really busy, though I did see a load of baboons on someone's rooftop. Then I went to Boulders Beach, which is like the touristy one where you pay to get in. But you can see all the penguins there. That's kind of where they live. Really amazing. So cute. They're just waddling around, minding their own business. A lot of them are in the middle of laying eggs and protecting eggs. But it was really hot, and the penguins looked really hot, like the ones on the eggs, and I felt a bit sorry for them. And then I walked along the boardwalk to the other beach, another touristy beach, and there's a sort of foresty bit in the middle, and there were like a load of penguins there, like right next to the boardwalk. So you can get really close to them. I got an ice cream, and I took an Uber to Simonstown Harbour. It wasn't far, a few minutes in the car, but it was so hot. I didn't want to walk for half an hour in a place I didn't know. I took some photos. There were an American couple there who jumped into the water from the pier freezing water. I then went to Bertha's and had a salad and a peach daiquiri before getting an Uber back to Kalk Bay. And then got a cocktail, takeaway pizza from Sirocco, came back, watched Schitt's Creek and You in bed. The first half of season 4 of You had just come out. So I was binging that, and also watching Schitt's Creek for about the 4th time because I love it so much. So Monday 13th, Irene came back. I had a Zoom call with a friend, had wine, and finally finished watching Her with Irene and Antoine. And it's crazy because it's all about AIs and that kind of stuff and all the things that people are talking about now, but it was made 10 years ago. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's crazy. Okay, 14th of Feb. Ooh, Valentine's Day. So we went to a wine farm in Kirstenbosch. So it was me and my housemates Irene, Antoine, Matteo, Antoine's friend Leonie, and Irene's friends Ches, Josh, Tom and Alyssa. We did a wine tasting inside. Amazing views. Amazing loo with a view. I went there and was gone for like half an hour because I was doing a photo shoot in the toilet because it was just amazing. And then we took some more bottles of wine and drank them outside with the amazing view. The toilets, the amazing view is good because, like, we don't think someone can see you. It's sort of at a certain angle looking out. Most people are in the restaurant. In the day, it's fine. But at night, when it's all lit up, like the toilets are lit up and there are people on the lawn, like down below, drinking, it's a bit scarier. Like, I'm like, who can see me here? Like, probably no one, but it's still a little, it's like pee quick and get out. Wednesday, 15th of Feb, we got up early because we were going on a road trip to Stellenbosch. Well, not a road trip, it was like an hour. But we were going to Stellenbosch for a couple of days with Irene, Matteo and Irene's friend Ches. And we got a coffee and Danish from Olympia Bakery. And then Irene drove us to Stellenbosch. And on the way, we went past this township, which is like, it's like what you think of as a slum, but they don't use the word slum over there. And it went on forever and it was just so huge. I can't even imagine living there with the corrugated iron huts, essentially. But, you know, they have their own little town. There's like roads and shops and barbers and bars, I think. And yeah, all kinds of things. And it just seems so strange because it's so close to like Kalk Bay, which is quite an affluent area, and Stellenbosch, which is a very affluent area. Stellenbosch is like a super cute, hallmarky type university town. It reminded me a lot of Pearl Street in Boulder, Colorado, when I went there for a year. It's like an outdoor mall. Very nice, leafy, cafes, people sitting outside drinking and eating, little boutique shops, very studenty, but then also very sort of upmarket shops, and very nice buildings, all very nice. So we got there, we had breakfast, we worked in a cafe for a bit and then in a wine bar for a bit, and then we got an Uber to Waterford Wine Farm, which is a beautiful wine farm, and the taste tester was lovely. We had Brett, our wine guy. He was really knowledgeable and very nice. I was there with Ches, Matteo and Ches's friend Laura from Germany. And we were also nearly killed by a giant umbrella flying off in the wind. It was very windy and it came out of its little holder thing. But Brett, our wine guy, was amazing. He had like a bottle of wine in one hand and he caught the like giant umbrella in the other and just stood there for a minute, like kind of dazed, like confused as what happened. And then people helped him get it in there. But yeah, nearly decapitated by that. But it was nice wine, nice food. The wine and chocolate pairings in particular, including the dessert wine, amazing. Then we got back to Stellenbosch, or Stellies as it's also known. Checked into our Airbnb, which had an amazing view of like the mountains and this beautiful church. We had an elevator going up to our living room. It was nice. After that, we went out for dinner, had a drink, and then I went back and went to bed early because I am that cool. Thursday 16th, we had breakfast, then came back to the Airbnb, did a bit of work. Then I went and had lunch with Ches and Matteo at a wine place. For some reason there was a giant pair of legs, like a big sculpture outside in the garden. Then we walked around for a bit. Ches showed us some of the university buildings because she'd gone there to university. And then Matteo went back to the Airbnb to work and Ches and I went shopping. And then we went and had more drinks. And then it was time for dinner. And we went somewhere for dinner. We waited for ages for service. It didn't happen. So we legged it to another place just before they closed. And it was load shedding, so they had, candlelight everywhere, very nice. Friday 17th of Feb, We headed back to Kalk Bay, we dropped our stuff off, then we went to lunch at Kalki's, which is a famous fish and chip place on the harbour, though I got the vegetarian meal. There were seals on the harbour walls, we got a bit closer to take some photos and videos, they were just chilling next to all the people. Then we came back to the house, I had a nap, had dinner, and then me and Irene had a bit of a South Africa Netflix evening. We watched Penguin Town, because she hadn't seen it. My Octopus Teacher, which if you hadn't seen, you need to watch. And then Trevor Noah stand-up special things. So all those things were South Africa related. Penguin Town and My Octopus Teacher are filmed around False Bay where we were. So that was quite cool. Saturday, chilling, working in the house. Sunday, went to Woodstock to the neighbour goods market. Matteo and Irene went to hike Lion's Head and I met them there after. I had the best sandwich ever again and lots of gin fizz. Went back to the house. A new housemate, Alyssa, moved in. And I went to this place called Salt with Alyssa and Irene for some food and drinks. Monday, didn't feel well. I think there were a lot of stomach bugs going around. There was something about load shedding making the water supply dodgy or something. I don't know if that's real. But yeah, I really didn't feel well. And didn't feel well until I came back, actually. And even after that, I felt a bit dodgy. But honestly, it could be anything. Matteo made a chocolate salami thing. This was my last night. And it was amazing. And I had some for breakfast the next day as well. Always ask Italians to cook for you if you if you ever stay with Italians. So the next day I got up, I finished packing, I said bye to my housemates, very sad, and then got an Uber to Cape Town. So this was my last night. I'd booked a hotel in Cape Town so I could get up early and just head to the airport the next day. So I thought I'd make the most of my time in Cape Town. I dropped off my bags. I went to Rosetta Bakery because I'd seen that they had Basque Country cheesecake there, and it wasn't as nice as in the Basque Country, but it was still pretty good. And then I got an Uber to the waterfront. I sort of stumbled upon this seal platform, which was amazing. It was covered in seals, including a baby seal, and a lot of them were fighting, like actually pushing each other off the platform into the sea over and over again, which I found hilarious. But very cute. And I went to this place called The Watershed, which has a lot of boutique shops in. I did some shopping, got some ice cream, walked around the harbour for a bit, and then got on a harbour boat tour for 30 minutes. We saw more seals on a buoy in the middle of the bay. Great views of Table Mountain. Met this other woman who was there solo as well, so hung out with her for a bit. Then I found the shopping mall. Oh dear. Like the big shopping mall, all the big brands in, but also some cute little boutique shops. Did some more shopping, got some food for later, and then got an Uber back to the hotel. And I then sorted out my case, sorted out all the stuff I bought. I did a bit of work. I'm sort of doing work most days, even if it's weekends, just to keep on top of it, because when I'm away, I don't tend to do as much as I do when I'm at home, just because there's so much to do and you don't want to have FOMO all the time. Although I do say no when I, really do need to work, or I really do need to just sleep, like I did that weekend when I just slept. I watched more Schitt's Creek. It's like my comfort show. And then went to bed. And then the next day, got an Uber from the hotel around 7, looked around the shops in the airport, did some work at the airport. And you're a digital nomad when you're doing work in the airport lounge. And then got on the plane. If anyone's interested, I watched Elvis on the plane, the Baz Luhrmann film, Emily the Criminal, and Jurassic World Dominion. Then I realised I hadn't watched the Jurassic film before that, so I was a bit confused. And then I got back to London, and my parents very kindly picked me up, and I went back to their house and saw the family dog, Tilly. She went absolutely bonkers, like really, really crazy, and had a cup of tea and went to bed, exhausted. So that's what I did as a digital nomad, staying in Kalk Bay near Cape Town. Hopefully it gives you some kind of idea. Obviously I didn't go on like a big safari. I wasn't there doing that kind of stuff, which I might do if I was just going as a tourist. But when you've got work to do and things like that, you kind of want to live like a local. You don't want to do all the touristy things all the time. You want to get a sense of that place as if you would live there. And a lot of the time, digital nomads are going around thinking, is this somewhere I could live? Because they actually don't have a base, but maybe they want to one day. I kind of ask myself that question whenever I go anywhere. Could I live here? So before the end of this podcast, I'm just going to read out a recent blog post I wrote titled 5 Things I Learned from My South Africa Trip. I also sent this to my email list, the Intentional Travel Club, which you can sign up for by going to traveltransformationcoach.com and scrolling right to the bottom, or by going to traveltransformationcoach.com/free guide, and you'll get a free guide as well on travel transformation. Okay, so number one was visiting somewhere as a digital nomad is not the same as visiting somewhere purely as a tourist. And I've already talked about this, but you are basically living like a local, and you need to remind yourself that you don't have to do all the touristy things. You don't have to do things just because people say you should do them while you're there. You're there in a completely different capacity than if you were there on holiday, and that's fine. Number two, I personally do not do well in hot climates. I already knew this. I've travelled extensively in places like Southeast Asia and other places in Asia and nearly died because of the heat. And you do kind of get more used to it, but I underestimated how much it would stop me from doing things in South Africa. Like, even with the highest factor sun cream I could find and applying it all the time, I managed to get sunburn almost every time I went out. So that wasn't great. So I did end up trying to stay inside a lot of the time or run from shade to shade. And I've had mild sunstroke before when I was in Colorado, and that is not fun. In actual sunstroke, people actually die from it. So that's never good. Like, you should never take these things lightly. And just because other people are fine and have no issue doesn't mean you are the same. So I keep that in mind. And in future, I'll definitely be sticking to cooler climates as much as possible. Obviously, there are still so many places I want to visit that are hotter. Maybe I'll just do it for shorter amounts next time. Okay, 3 is when living with others and being a digital nomad in general, you have to protect your energy and your sanity. For instance, I'm not someone who wants to go out clubbing every night. I'd rather hang out in a pub where you can actually talk, or go see a movie, or attend a play, or go to a live music event, or go on a day trip at the weekends instead of spending the whole day being hungover. And that's okay. When you're staying in a co-living type situation, you feel like you should say yes to everything. There's FOMO, of course, but you also don't want to let your housemates down or appear to be boring. But saying yes to everything can lead to burnout and deathly hangovers. So just be aware of what you do and don't like doing for fun, and don't feel bad if it's not the same as what your housemates do and don't like doing. Like, everyone's different. And for sanity's sake, I know that I need my own room, somewhere to retreat to when it all gets a little too much, somewhere to hide away and watch Schitt's Creek if I need to just relax for a bit. Number 4 is we should be grateful for everything we have. And I know this isn't exactly groundbreaking, but my time in South Africa made me grateful for so many things we often take for granted in the UK. I mean, obviously they have amazing things like beauty and wildlife that we do not have, so I'm not saying that the UK is better at all. South Africa is truly an amazing, incredible, beautiful place that I'm so glad I went to. And if you've not had the chance to go anywhere like that, I think you should try and make it a priority in your life at some point, because it truly is an amazing, beautiful place. Having said that, it made me grateful for things like electricity and the fact we don't have load shedding. It's just little things like not being able to boil a cup of tea. If your power's off for like 8, 9, 10 hours a day, spread out throughout the day, but still 8, 9, 10 hours a day, that means your fridge and freezer's off if you don't have a backup generator. It means the food or your milk would go off a lot sooner. The traffic lights don't work in most places during load shedding, so you've got that to deal with. Like I say, you have to schedule things like using the washing machine and having a cup of tea. So I'm grateful that we have the access to power we do over here. I'm also grateful that I live in a place where I can just jump on a bus or a train, not have to be on constant lookout for muggers or anyone else who might attack me for whatever reason. And again, I know that's not just South Africa. I've had instances in London and other places, as a lot of my friends have. Even not in big cities, even in small towns, this happens. But I felt it a lot more there because people were telling me it was more dangerous. So I'm grateful to live in a place where I don't feel like I have to look out every time I get on a train or a bus. We just have so much freedom in the UK in that kind of aspect, and I won't be taking that for granted from now on. 5, I am not a night flight type person. If at all possible, I'll be booking day flights going forward. I just never really sleep on them. I totally screw up my body clock. It takes me a good couple of weeks for my body to catch up, and then, as happened in South Africa, I was just out for the count for like a whole weekend. And yeah, if I'd done a day flight like I did on the way back, it's really not as bad. And it's crazy how just a couple of hours time difference can really make a difference. It's just 2 hours ahead, South Africa is, from the UK. And yet it took me a while to get used to it. When I came back, I kept waking up super early, or early for me, like at 5 or 6 a.m. because I was still on Cape Town time. And even 2 hours can screw up your body clock. So yeah, I've learnt that I prefer day flights as much as possible. Even though you feel like you're losing a day, I think overall for me, it's better. Number 6, bonus. I learnt that traffic lights in South Africa are called robots. I did not know this, which can result in some hilarious misunderstandings from non-Africans when asking for directions. Like, where's the train station, please? Oh, just head down the street, make a left at the robot. Sorry, what? Yeah, they're not called traffic robots. They're not called, anything like that. Just robots. I thought that was interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to do this episode to give you a bit of information about what it's like to be a digital nomad, to give you a bit of info on South Africa if you're considering going there. And also, I hope that it prompts you to do the same for any trips you go on, to stop afterwards and reflect back, look at your favourite parts, your not so favourite parts, the things you learnt, and all that kind of stuff. Whether it's a month-long digital nomad trip, fortnight at a resort, or a weekend away camping, just stop to think about your favourite parts of the trip and the memories you'll be taking forward with you. And yeah, just most importantly, pause to reflect on what you've learned during the trip, both about the place you visited and about yourself, because I bet if you dig deep, you can find out lots of stuff. And it's also a great thing to look back at in years to come. So in particular, if you write it down, at which point, memories of your trip might have become a little hazy. So I hope you learned something from this podcast episode, whether it's something about South Africa, something about being a digital nomad, or just how important it is to pause and reflect at the end of each trip. I'd also love to hear if you've had your own adventure in South Africa. Email me at info@traveltransformationcoach.com or DM me on Instagram at traveltransformationcoach. You can also see more videos of my time in South Africa on my TikTok at traveltransformation. And if you want the name of the Airbnb we stayed at, because it really is beautiful, it's called Bay Tree Beach House. It's on the main road and the address is either Kalk Bay or Fishhook, depending on which place you look at, because it's kind of in the middle of the two. But highly recommend it, Bay Tree Beach House. Okay, so be sure to look out for my Thursday episode this week, because there will be one, because I'm going to stick to the schedule I've made for myself. I'm going to fulfill my promise to myself, because that's how we grow in confidence, when we actually make a promise to ourselves and we stick to it. So I'm going to be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. Again, please slap me virtually if I don't. And this Thursday, I've got an interview with a really fun lady named Domi, who has a great service for solo travellers, and a service I'm going to be taking part in soon. So make sure to give it a listen this Thursday. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review, and spread the word if you have friends or family who also want to transform through travel. For a chance of winning one of my books in ebook form, please review this podcast on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot or just your name to info@traveltransformationcoach.com or at traveltransformationcoach on Instagram. I'll be picking a new winner each month, and you can choose between any of my non-fiction titles, including Write Your Life, Write Your Year, and Intentional Travel Transformation. You can find out more about me at traveltransformationcoach.com, where you can also get your free travel transformation guide. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.